early today as he left a party in Los Angeles. Wallace, also known as Biggie Smalls, was shot from a passing vehicle. He had been named Rap Artist of the Year at the Billboard Awards in 1995.
They are working out a deal for them. Because it ain't for Miss Wallace. It ain't for Big's kids. The executors of that is Wayne Barrow and Mark Pitts. Those are the dudes that Puff put into play with them.
Hip-hop suffered a massive blow in 1997 with the loss of the notorious B.I.G., a tragedy that sent shockwaves through the music world and beyond.
When I heard about it, I was devastated, very devastated. I couldn't believe it. I still don't believe it.
Why? What's so shocking?
It's Biggie Smalls.
But besides the painful fact that decade after decade and even nearly 30 years later, no one has ever been officially held accountable, there's a whole new storm brewing, and this time it's closer to home. Drama is now unfolding around Biggie's estate, and it's messier than anyone could have imagined. Biggie's posthumous empire. When Biggie was tragically gunned down, he left behind his wife, singer Faith Evans, and 2 children. He had his daughter, Tiana Wallace, back in 1993 with his high school sweetheart, Jan Jackson, and then in 1996, just a year before his death, he and Faith welcomed their son, Christopher Jordan Wallace, better known now as C.J. Wallace.
The first mother of the daughter of the notorious B.I.G., the queen of it all, the original. You mind getting all these titles?
Yeah, it can only be one.
At the time of his passing, Biggie's estate was estimated to be worth around $10 million, but what followed became one of the most impressive legacy-building stories in the music industry. With no formal will in place, control of Biggie's estate initially fell into the hands of his mother, Voletta Wallace, who stepped up in a way no one could have predicted. Voletta wasn't a businesswoman by trade, and she certainly didn't have the experience in the music industry. She was just a grieving mother trying to make sense of losing her son, but instead of letting his legacy fade, she turned her heartbreak into a mission. She became the legal administrator of Biggie's estate and went full throttle to protect, preserve, and grow everything her son left behind. And grow it she did. Over the years, Voletta helped transform that $10 million into an empire worth over $200 million. She made sure Biggie's name stayed alive not just in the music world, but also in pop culture, branding, fashion, and beyond. Along with Faith Evans, who also played a key role in the early years, they ensured that the estate was managed with care and, most importantly, that Biggie's children would benefit from his legacy. Voletta Wallace didn't just stay behind the scenes either. She took center stage, attending interviews, documentaries, and award shows, always speaking proudly of her son's impact.
My son is being acknowledged in so many entities, so many avenues. Everywhere you turn, there's a Biggie, there's a Notorious.
In 2005, she published a heartfelt memoir titled Biggie. Voletta Wallace remembers her son, the Notorious B.I.G., which gave fans a raw, personal look into his life beyond the music. She also executive produced the 2009 biopic Notorious, starring Jamal Woolard as Biggie and the legendary Angela Bassett as Voletta herself.
You saying your prayers?
Praying that God teaches you how to knock.
Please, don't you mock your prayer.
In 2021, she was back in the producer's chair again for the Netflix documentary Biggie, I Got a Story to Tell, which explored his early life, rise to fame, and legacy through rare footage and interviews. That same year, the estate signed a major deal with WME's Legends Group to expand Biggie's global brand even further. And of course, Biggie's music has never stopped moving. His albums Ready to Die and Life After Death remain hip-hop essentials. His songs still get radio spins, and his lyrics are quoted by rappers old and new. Streaming platforms rack up billions of plays on his records, and his estate earns millions more through licensing deals, merchandise, and his iconic image being used in clothing, posters, and pop culture collabs. His daughter, Tiana, has also stepped up in her own way. While studying at Penn State, she launched Notorious Clothing, a streetwear brand inspired by her father's style and legacy. She's been vocal about wanting to preserve his name on her own terms. In 2024, she took it even further by launching the Biggie Experience, a one-of-a-kind immersive exhibit that allows fans to connect with her father's story in a more personal and emotional way.
So where can people donate or get Notorious clothing? Like, you have any web information for us?
NotoriousClothing.BigCartel.com. It's still just streetwear right now.
In an interview with Forbes, Tiana shared her motivation. I always wanted to be the person who says, okay, my dad's not here anymore, but I know how special he is, so I want to continue his legacy in any way possible. I always wanted his legacy to be available to his fans, and she didn't do it alone. Her brother, CJ Wallace, gave her full support. Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, continued being the heart and soul behind building her son's posthumous empire, and she never let up. Even in her final years, she was still pushing forward. In what would turn out to be one of her last major moves as executor of his estate, Voletta made headlines in early 2025 by sealing a historic deal with a music investment firm, Primary Wave. According to the Wall Street Journal, Primary Wave acquired a 50% stake in Biggie's estate, valuing his entire body of work from his music to his image at over $200 million. The deal included rights to Biggie's entire publishing and master recordings, his name, image, and likeness, branding and merchandising assets, future opportunities in film, television, and media projects. But this wasn't just about cutting a big check. This was a strategic handoff. Voletta Wallace didn't just sell off a chunk of her son's legacy to anyone, she passed the torch to Primary Wave, a powerhouse firm known for legacy partnerships with the estates of icons like Bob Marley, Whitney Houston, and Luther Vandross. Their track record showed they knew how to elevate and preserve a legend's name far beyond the music industry. Primary Wave didn't waste time. They promised to carry out Voletta's vision and take Biggie's brand to the next level by reintroducing his music to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, exploring tech innovations like AR/VR concepts and immersive documentaries, rolling out new product collabs and exclusive drops, positioning Biggie as a global cultural icon on the same tier as Tupac, Bob Marley, and even Michael Jackson. Sadly, not long after finalizing this deal, Voletta Wallace passed away at the age of 78. According to the Monroe County Coroner's report, she spent her final days in hospice care and passed peacefully from natural causes.
Voletta Wallace, mom to the notorious B.I.G., has died. A tribute shared on her Instagram revealed Voletta died on Friday, with the Associated Press confirming she died of natural causes.
But as monumental as the Primary Wave deal was, not everyone saw it as a win. When news of the sale broke, it sparked immediate controversy. One of the loudest voices criticizing the move was Gene Deal, former bodyguard to Sean Diddy Combs. In an interview with The Art of Dialogue, Gene didn't hold back. He accused Wayne Barrow and Mark Pitts, the longtime managers and representatives of Biggie's estate, of exploiting the situation, especially knowing Voletta was gravely ill at the time. Knowing this lady was sick and in hospice, Deal said, Wayne Barrow and Mark Pitts went ahead and started working out deals to allegedly sell Biggs Publishing, his marketing, all his rights to everything.
Wayne Barrows and Mark Pitts went on and started working out deals, to allegedly sell Biggs Publishing.
He went even further, claiming that the deal was never truly for the benefit of Biggie's family. They are working out a deal for them. It ain't for Miss Wallace, it ain't for Biggs' kids. Wayne Barrow and Mark Pitts, those are the dudes that Puff put in play. I can't believe this.
Those are the dudes that Puff put into play. They are working out a deal for them, because it ain't for Miss Wallace, it ain't for Biggs' kids.
According to Deal, Barrow and Pitts were handpicked to control Biggie's estate and positioned to benefit long-term, and now with this mega deal, they were reaping the rewards. His comments added more fuel to a growing belief that certain people around Biggie may have been profiting more than the family he left behind.
Those are the dudes that Puff put into play with them. I can't believe this. These are the dudes that when Big died, they took over.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, it did. Reports recently surfaced that Faith Evans is now being sued by Wayne Barrow. Trouble in Biggie's estate. According to new court filings, Faith is being accused of wrongfully withholding Voletta Wallace's share of the deal after her passing. Here's the breakdown. After Miss Wallace died, Faith Evans reportedly became the sole manager of the notorious B.I.G. LLC, the company that oversees Biggie's estate. That move automatically put her in charge of managing the business side of things, including making sure all parties involved got their fair share of any deals, including this massive one with Primary Wave. But now Wayne Barrow, who's the trustee of the Wallace Fund, is claiming that Faith hasn't held up her end of the deal. In fact, he's accusing her of deliberately keeping the trust's cut from the catalog sale and even trying to take over Biggie's estate entirely. According to Barrow's lawsuit, Faith went ahead and distributed parts of the sale proceeds to Biggie's children, Tiana and CJ, and possibly even herself. But when it came time to pay the trust managed on behalf of Voletta Wallace, Faith allegedly kept that money back. The exact amount is redacted in the court papers, but Barrow says it's significant. And it gets deeper. Barrow says Faith didn't just withhold money, she also kept him completely out of the loop. The suit claims she refused to give him a copy of the asset purchase agreement, which is the official contract from the sale. She even told the LLC's lawyers in Primary Wave not to share it with him either. Barrow also says Faith had barely been involved in the day-to-day operations of the estate prior to all this. According to the filing, she played little to no role in managing the business, but once the money came into play, she suddenly stepped up and took control. Now Barrow wants the court to step in and remove Faith as the manager of Biggie's estate. He's asking for the court to officially recognize the Voletta Wallace Trust as a 50% owner of the Notorious B.I.G. LLC and is requested to be named the new manager himself. This situation has sparked a wave of speculation among fans. Some are starting to wonder if Gene Deal might actually have a point and whether Faith Evans knows more than she's let on. For years, there's been a lingering theory that Diddy may have played a role in Biggie's death. Rumors have swirled that Biggie was preparing to part ways with Bad Boy Records, and not long after, he lost his life. The timing for many just doesn't sit right. Biggie's death. So let's rewind to March 8, 1997, the night hip-hop lost one of its biggest icons. Biggie was out in Los Angeles, vibing at an after-party of the Soul Train Awards at the Peterson Automotive Museum. The event was co-hosted by Vibe and Quest Records, and like you'd expect, it was jam-packed with industry folks, celebrities, and hip-hop heavyweights. It was so packed, in fact, that the LA Fire Department shut it down around 12:30 a.m. because it was over capacity. With the party over, Biggie and his crew decided to call in a night and head back to their hotel. Big was riding in the front passenger seat of a green GMC Suburban with Lil Cease behind the wheel. Meanwhile, Diddy was in a different car, rolling behind them with his bodyguards. Everything seemed chill. Nobody expected what was about to happen next. As they pulled up to the red light around 12:45 a.m., just a few blocks from the venue, a black Chevy Impala crept up beside them. Inside was a man described as dressed real clean, navy blue suit, bow tie, the whole look, almost like someone heading to church, not a drive-by. He rolled down the window, calmly pulled out a 9mm and fired off shots straight into Biggie's SUV.
I was behind Big in the passenger seat talking to some females on the sidewalk, and maybe like a second later, this Impala pulled up.
Biggie was hit 4 times. One of those bullets hit him in the chest, the fatal shot. The team immediately rushed him to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but it was too late. At just 24 years old, Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., was gone. And with that, the East Coast-West Coast rivalry took another tragic turn.
I think that's the first time I couldn't hold back my tears.
It's the last thing I thought that Big would be dead, but it was reality. It was real.
Ever since that night, the rumors and theories hasn't stopped. Conspiracy theories have flooded the internet, the streets, and documentaries for over 2 decades. One of the most persistent ones? That Diddy might have had something to do with it. Now that's never been proven, but people continue to question certain things. Like, why didn't Diddy stop at the red light? Why were there weird stickers or markings spotted on Biggie's SUV that night?
Walk us through those final moments.
We get out, Puff pull out first. We pull out behind him. He blow past the light. We stopped at the light.
Some folks believe Diddy may not have pulled the trigger, but wonder if he somehow knew something was coming and didn't say anything. It's all speculation, of course. No charges and no arrests have been made, just whispers and question marks.
People would say he had no business in LA at that time. We all knew that. Why would Puff rent studio time? Come on, man, look, you know Pac just got killed. It ain't no kind of business Big was doing. Big couldn't even walk, he couldn't run. They was pushing him around in a wheelchair, brother.
But there's another theory, one that's gained serious traction over the years, and this one points straight to Suge Knight. According to multiple sources, Suge Knight hired a known Bloods gang member named Wardell Poochie Faust to carry out the hit on Biggie.
So according to Greg Kading, Poochie killed Biggie.
That's the story, I believe.
And Poochie was an associate of Suge?
Whatever the story is that Greg is pushing is what I believe.
Poochie was someone deeply tied to Suge Knight, and if the streets are to be believed, he was part of Suge's personal hit squad for Death Row Records. Poochie was loyal, dangerous, and the kind of guy you only called when things needed to get handled with no loose ends. Now, according to those close to the case, including retired LAPD detective Greg Kading, who spent years investigating both the murders of Biggie and Tupac, Suge Knight allegedly called on Poochie to take Biggie out. The motive was straight-up retaliation. Whether Biggie had anything to do with Pac's death or not didn't even matter at that point. Emotions were high, the East Coast-West Coast beef was boiling over, and Suge wanted someone to pay. And Biggie, being the face of East Coast rap and Bad Boy Records, became the target. Thing is, Suge was already behind bars at the time, but that didn't stop him. According to Kading, Suge used one of his girlfriends, a woman named Teresa Swan, as a go-between to get things in motion from jail, and Suge had his own lawyer draft up paperwork that made Teresa look like part of his legal team. That way she could visit him in jail and speak freely without being recorded or monitored by authorities. Whatever they discussed was kept completely private, and allegedly, that's when the plan for Biggie's murder was greenlit.
So you're saying that Suge told Poochie to kill Biggie?
Indirectly. Suge uses a baby mama of his named Teresa Swan and has her deliver the message and make the solicitation for Poochie to get at Biggie.
Suge, according to the reports, told Teresa exactly how he wanted it done and promised that whoever carried it out would get paid. Teresa then took that message straight to Poochie. They supposedly met up at a Denny's in Lakewood, and that's where the details were hashed out. Poochie wanted to know how the money would flow. Teresa reassured him, handle the job, and the money will follow. The trust between Poochie and Suge ran deep. So deep that when Suge bought a 1995 black Chevy Impala, he didn't just cop one for himself, he bought a matching one for Poochie too. That wasn't just a generous gesture, it was payment in advance and a clear sign that Poochie was one of Suge's most trusted soldiers. Now, Greg Kading didn't stop there.
Suge Knight had bought his 1995 Chevy Impala. He had also purchased a Chevy Impala for Poochie.
He and his team dug up even more evidence, prison letters from a known blood member named Roderick Reed, written back in 2004. These were just random notes. These letters were part of the ongoing conversation between Reed and a sketchy former FBI informant named Kevin Hahn. In the letters, Reed made it very clear that Poochie was the guy who killed Biggie Smalls, and this wasn't just coming from some dude looking for attention. Roderick Reed had major street credibility, and his co-defendant on the case that landed him in prison was none other than George Williams, one of Suge Knight's tightest allies and enforcers. That connection added weight to his claims. But despite all this, no one has ever officially been charged for Biggie's murder. Poochie's own story finally came to an end on July 24, 2003, when he was shot 10 times in the back while riding his motorcycle in Compton. And just like so many other gang-related murders in Compton, there were plenty of suspects but no definitive answers. The most likely theory is that it was another former friend and fellow Piru gang member from the death row days who had turned on Poochie. With so much blood spilled in so many rivalries, it wasn't hard to imagine someone close to him pulling the trigger.